Let's be real. If you clicked on this video, you probably care about your Instagram and about how people perceive you through your social media. And honestly, it's 2026, so there's no shame admitting this. To the contrary, if you're a man, having an amazing social media is probably the highest ROI thing you can do in 2026. There is nothing that even comes close. Social media is the key to nurturing relationships with people that you meet, to maintaining those relationships, to getting people more interested in who you are as a person. And Instagram also doubles as a dating app. So that said, let's go into the video on how to make an attractive Instagram profile and use Instagram to get dates. Now, the principle I want to introduce you to is that in 2026, and that is very different from just 10 years ago, something called the social mirror effect will apply. Social mirror effect means that your Instagram is the proof that you're a real person. Somebody who doesn't have Instagram 10 years ago was just a guy who doesn't have Instagram. Somebody who was not on Facebook was just a dude who was not on Facebook. Or on the flip side, if you had an Instagram or you had a Facebook, that was just your Instagram or your Facebook. But nowadays, in 2026, if you're not on social media, you're pretty much not a real person anymore. People will not take you as serious. They will not treat you like a real human being. However, the great thing is that there was this dark times in between when it was kind of difficult to have a great social media and it required you to have a bunch of professional photos. But now Instagram is actually simpler than it's ever been. It's easier to have a great profile than in the past 10 years. And in this video, I will show you exactly how to do it and how to build what I like to call a ghost profile, which is an extremely simplified version of a profile that you can most likely already create with just pictures that you have right now in less than an hour. It's probably going to take you literally 20 minutes to create a profile from scratch that will outperform most profiles of your friend. So Instagram is both more powerful and simpler than ever. The problem is what you see here, this representation, is a guy that's looking in the mirror. If you don't have an Instagram, it's basically you not having a reflection. You need to have an Instagram. So it's not a question of whether you need it, it's just a question of whether you're actually going to do it and how to do it. The big question that you have to ask yourself right now, when somebody asks you for your Instagram, when somebody asks you to exchange contacts, what oftentimes ends up happening is you ask for a number, the girl says, oh, let's do Instagram instead. And most men dread that moment because they're like, man, my Instagram is not that great, or at least they have this doubt whether their Instagram is good. And it happens both in real life and on dating apps. Now look, what happens a lot of the time nowadays is that girls, and here's an example from a dating app, girls will just say, let's continue this conversation on Instagram. And what that really means is they want to see your Instagram. It's not about continuing the conversation there because it's easier. It's pretty much the same as on the dating app, but they want to see your Instagram. Again, they want to see your reflection. Who are you, right? Who are you? Are you a real person? So your Instagram is basically a reflection of you. It creates trust and safety. And when you set it up the right way, it will create a 24/7 attraction machine. You can then use this to engage girls and nurture relationships. In today's video, we're going to talk about how to create that attraction machine. And in a later video, we're going to create a part 2 where we talk about how to actually use that. So let's start with the attraction machine because this is where all the cool stuff happens. Let me introduce you to something called the aura gap. This is something that happens to so many attractive clients of mine where they say they literally are aware of this, how in real life they're more attractive than on dating apps or on social media. They're like, yeah, I just cannot look as good in photos as in real life. And the reason is usually that the aura doesn't translate, their charisma doesn't translate. So they have this thought of, I look better in real life. And it's a little bit like the lion who created his Instagram profile and it just looks like this tiny cat, right? Had AI create these pictures, I kind of love it. It's so cute. Well, imagine the lion looking at himself and being a little bit sad for, oh man, I just cannot look like a real lion in there. So I love that shit. Basically what you're doing is you have a great product, you, the lion, the successful dude who should have it all, or who is at least decently attractive in real life. Great product, but you kind of got poor marketing, right? That's why you're just the cat on Instagram. And that is the ideal scenario, because what most guys actually do is they hope that people see how cool they are. And I like to call this a flex and pray profile. So you put all of the stuff that makes you look cool. So you're basically trying to flex, but you don't really know what you're doing. So you just flex and hope and pray that people think that you're cool. In the first version is the guy who just doesn't really look as cool or as attractive as he's in real life. But with the flex and play profiles, what actually happens to most men is that it's just perceived as an inferior, not just an inferior version like here, but an inferior version that on top of it is trying to look cool, is trying a little too hard. So you go from having a great product with poor marketing to having a great product with horrible marketing. And it's horrible because it yells, look at me, look at how cool I am. It's loud, it's in your face, it wants attention. And women, when they feel that you want attention, when they feel that you want validation, when they feel that you need their approval, they're literally turned off. It's just different form of neediness. Let me share a revolutionary idea here, right? And that would be the outcome. Imagine you have the girl, she's looking at your profile and she's thinking, this is exactly what I want. Because great marketing makes you realize you wanted what you're seeing all along. You might not have thought about it before, but the moment you see it, you realize that's what you wanted. And I want to show you how you can manufacture this. Now, the starting point of this is understanding what women want. And of course, not all women are the same. But if you break it down to a few core fundamentals, you can say that the vast majority of women wants a successful man who's fun, who's effortlessly cool, who's healthy and fit, and who is on his path, on his journey, who has purpose in life. And that here is a great, also AI-generated picture, by the way, of a guy that could represent this, right? We see a man here that's in this spot in like this high value, let's say like an expensive place. He seems super at ease, super relaxed, healthy, good looking, effortlessly cool, and he seems like he's on his path, right? You can see this look in his face. So assuming you already have this, because that's the starting point for most men that I work with, oftentimes you already have this, right? If you don't have it, that's the next thing you should be working on. It's a big part of dating, becoming the best version of yourself. But let's assume you're even at a lower version of this than you could be. You could be here, and right now you're here. Sure, work on going here, but this bottom part that we just showed is probably already better than where most people are at. The problem is you are communicating it in a horrible way. So how can we communicate that in a way that doesn't come across as show off or try hard? How do you become that effortlessly cool guy? And I like to call this curated effortlessness. I heard that somebody else mention this in a different context, and I really like this term. And the reason it's curated effortlessness, because you want to come across as effortless. You want to show that lifestyle of yours in an effortless way, right? You want to be effortlessly cool. You want to show that you're successful, fun, healthy and fit and on your path, but you want to show it in an effortless way. If you show it and it comes across as showing off, if it comes across as you trying to impress, you're back to square one, right? You're back to trying to look cool. So the difference between this guy who's trying to look cool and the effortless guy here who's implying all of this, but it's all implied, it's all effortless. The problem is that if we just randomly post stuff, it's usually coming across as sloppy, as, well, is that guy really successful? Is it really that fun? Is he really that cool? Is he really that fit and healthy? And does he really have a purpose? Because it seems all sloppy, and sloppiness has people think a lot of negative things. Think of a guy that looks like a homeless person. He might not actually be homeless. He might actually be a tech billionaire, but from the way he presents himself, you're going to imply a few things, right? This guy, hypothetically, imagine it would be a horrible picture and he would just lie on the corner of the street. You might think here, just from the slightly dirty pants and the slightly dirty shoes, maybe this guy is actually a homeless guy. So if we don't put in a little bit of effort, it's not going to look the right way. However, we need to make it look effortless. It needs to look like we were just there, we were doing our thing, we were having fun, and it just happened to get documented. We didn't do it for the camera, we didn't do it for Instagram, we didn't curate our life to look cool. We did it and it happened to be documented. It's almost like a snapshot of the moments when you felt the coolest or you were actually the coolest. Now, of course, again, I'm assuming you live a life worth documenting, but most of us do. We do things that are cool. We hang out with cool friends. We do something fun on the weekends. We go climbing, we go hiking, we drive around in cars, right? It doesn't need to be 10 out of 10 hanging out in some fucking villa at the Lago Como or Lago Maggiore in Italy with billionaires. It doesn't have to be at that level. You don't necessarily have to be sitting in a Porsche. It's more about documenting the things that you like doing, the things that you find cool, and documenting them in a way where we make it look like you are him. You are that guy that she's always wanted. Now, let me introduce you to how we put this in practice, because the question is, we've talked about all of the concepts now. How do you put this in practice, this curated effortlessness? The goal is, to put it in simpler terms, to be interesting but normal, create intrigue without being try-hard. Make it all effortless. And I'll talk you through the exact steps on how you can implement it. I'll use my own profile, and you will see that there is nothing crazy about this profile, that you can copy this likely immediately within the next 20 minutes if you just follow what I show you here. First, your name. You're a grown-up. Don't have some BS horse rider 69 or whatever. Just put in your name or a variation of your name, but make it easy, make it grown up, make it mature. Just be normal here, right? Again, you want to be as normal as possible, because the last thing you want is for her to look at your profile and think like, what the fuck is this? Like, is this guy an idiot or is this guy a loser? Just make her, avoid her thinking these things. So start by making everything look as normal as possible, but then spice in this with some curated skill sets, spice in this effortless coolness. We're going to get to that in a moment. So start with your name, then follow ratio. What I don't want to see is you following 2,000 or 1,000 people and only having 100 followers. This should be about balanced out here. You can see I follow slightly more people than follow me. That's totally fine, but it should not be completely disbalanced. You also don't need to have hundreds or thousands of followers. It's just not necessary. Then your main profile picture, just pick a picture that you like of yourself where your face is visible. That's important. It can just be your face. Ideally, your face is visible, or it can be your upper body and face, like here. Right? You can see this here. This is a picture of me. Use a picture, and then you can set, there's a setting in Instagram where it shows that you can magnify it or not, and you disable that. So it doesn't need to be a perfect picture, and you can even slightly face it if you want to look a little bit better than you do. It's something a lot of my friends have also done with great success. So you can do that. If people cannot magnify it and look at it, it works perfectly well. Then your bio. I don't want to see you trying to look funny or be funny in your bio or have some funny sentence in there. You're a grown-up, right? Put in what you do for work, where you live, or leave it empty, or just write private account, right? It doesn't need to be, again, trying to impress or trying to be funny. You don't want to try to do anything, right? Just be yourself. Be a mature man. Put in what you do, where you live, or leave it empty. Then we're going to talk about the highlights. And last but not least, we're going to talk about the post in just a moment. The highlight feature allows you to place certain stories, and they will be here. I'm not using that feature on my private account. If you're using Instagram already for a while and you have cool stories, I would recommend doing one highlight. I don't want to see this trip to Dubai, trip to Monaco, whatever. That again comes across as trying to impress. I want you to have one highlight with a maximum of 10 stories that you find funny, interesting, or aesthetically pleasing. Again, make sure that none of them look try-hard. None of them should look like you're trying to look cool or trying to impress or trying to be funny. That should be your number one goal. And if you don't have any stories that match that, just literally leave it empty. It's okay, because the profile can be quite basic. Our goal is to look normal. She's going to verify you, right? Why do I talk about looking normal? Because when she looks at your Instagram, she will just wonder, are you a real person? Are you normal? Is it safe to hang out with you? So we're giving her that proof of life. We are creating that impression by having a very normal profile with normal highlights, right? Normal videos, not try hard. Not try hard, because try hard is a turn off because it makes you look like you're managing her impression. And then we're gonna talk about the posts, right? What are we putting in here? And I'm going to give you some very, very simple rules. The idea is, what will life with you feel like? The core underlying tenet is we don't want to impress. We want it to feel effortless. I've repeated, I'm not saying it because I'm repeating myself for no reason. I am just repeating myself because I really want you to take this one thing away from watching this video, that stop being try hard, start focusing. And actually it sounds like a contradiction because you have to try hard to look effortless, but you don't want people to see that you try hard, right? That's why it's called curated effortlessness. It should look easy. It should look like an accident. It should look like it just happens. Girls don't need to do that as much, yeah, but you see the top guys on the planet, like Jacob Elordi, do this to perfection, where everything he does looks effortless. So 3 rules here. Vibe over everything. So first of all, vibe over everything means quality over quantity. You don't need 50 posts here. You don't need a post every week. I'd rather see you only have 1 post and that post is great, rather than have 10 mediocre posts. And in the individual posts, I would rather have pictures that focus on your vibe than high quality pictures of you, like portraits and stuff like this. Focus on the vibe, right? And I'll jump to the 3rd rule because there is an easy hack for creating a vibe, and that is using analog cameras. So these disposable cameras. Get pictures done, take pictures with these disposable cameras. They are a lot worse, but they show the vibe much better. I'll show you examples in just a moment. And the 3rd rule is stop using individual posts. I don't want to see a single individual picture. I only want to see you use carousels. And there is a simple rule to follow. The rule of thirds is 1/3 of the pictures in the carousel should be pictures of you. 1/3 should be moments or experiences that can even be a POV moment that you're snapshotting. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be in the picture even, right? And the 3rd one is things you find aesthetic. That can just be something you see in a store, in a building, a sunset. Again, doesn't need to have you in there. So vibe over everything, no individual posts, only carousels, and use disposable cameras. So this is what this would look like in practice, right? This is my profile. There's just 1 carousel post here and it consists of 9 pictures, right? So 3 pictures that have you in them, 3 pictures that show from your perspective a moment or an experience, and then 3 pictures that show something that you find aesthetic. And if you want, if you have a funny meme, you can throw in a meme or something that made you laugh. But what I don't want to see again is that you have 3 carousels and every carousel follows the same pattern and has 3 memes in there, where it becomes like obvious that you're trying to manage an impression again. It should look as random and natural as is possible. So let me show you an example. First, 3 pictures that have you in them, right? You can see here, none of these pictures is a picture that is perfect, that has even my face in it, right? In my profile, I have one that shows my face here, right? If you have one, use it. But I just picked these pictures randomly on my phone, right? 3 pictures of me. This is me walking up a stairs, snapshot effect. You can see it, it really is in the moment I was walking up. It looks natural, you know, when you zoom in, but actually in my camera roll, you would see that there's like 50 pictures from that moment. My body just taking picture. And one of them was good enough, looked really in the moment like a snapshot, and I took it. Same here, picture of me getting a tattoo, in the moment picture of me. Here, a picture of me. This is technically a POV picture that my friend shot, right? It's us eating, it's literally him eating a fry here. And I'm just looking to the side, but I look really good in that picture, so I thought I'd throw it in there. Then 3 POV pictures that I took, right? This is kind of like something I thought was aesthetic, but it was an actual picture I took in the moment. Screenshot or picture of me having dinner with friend. You know how simple it is? It's just literally me setting my iPhone to a 0.5 and then taking a picture of us having dinner here. And then a picture of a chocolate croissant. And look, this is a great example. This picture in and of itself would be a horrible picture, right? Why would you post this? But throwing it in a carousel is kind of a vibe. It's just like, oh, okay, this is just what his life looked like at the moment. And then you can see here 3 aesthetic pictures, right? A sunset, just something random in the city. This is actually from my friend's profile. Something random he snapped in the city. And then this is actually me, but it's also just an aesthetic shot of me jumping off a cliff. So that's an example for a carousel. Next up, we would have reaching out to people using your Instagram, which is stuff we're gonna go over in the future. I'm gonna leave it at that for now. How to make an attractive Instagram profile. Let me know if any questions you have. Let me know if you want me to audit your Instagram. I'm putting a link to my Instagram down below. You can DM me the word audit on Instagram and I'll take a look at your profile and give you feedback on that. If you want to work with me one-on-one, as always, book a link through my Calendly. It's down below. And I'll see you, other than that, in one of my next videos. Until then,